Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against Doge. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon scab within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk.
Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh. That is what greeted me this morning when I opened up my X account. And young Matt Foldy had posted that just about the time I turned on X. And it was like getting hit in the face with a brick. So I don't really know how to respond to decrepit old lefties singing badly. So I call upon the arts of Comfortably Smug, one of the fellows at the Ruthless podcast, who is actually kind of a connoisseur of the cringy things that the left does. They review it often on the Ruthless podcast, America's fastest growing podcast. Hello, Smug. What did you make of that?
Well, thanks again for having me, Hugh. There's this famous Voltaire quote where he says, "I pray to God for but one wish, and it's that all my enemies be absurd." And I think Trump has really gotten that in spades here.
Well, that is a 1931 actual labor union from the United Mine Workers, back when people had to stand up and get their knees broken or they couldn't organize. And that's pathetic. Is that the low point?
And then for them to adapt it to go against Doge, it's really amazing that you have a union song transformed into one that's fighting against cutting government waste. I can't wrap my head around how Donald Trump has managed to get his opponents to take the position of, no, we want to protect wasteful spending. Like, you can't. How does this happen?
I don't know, but he is blessed by the right enemies, and they're dumber than dirt. Before I go to more serious topics, I have to announce that I'm entering a protest with YouTube about Ruthless. Ruthless is closing in on and may have actually passed the 100,000 subscriber mark, at which point they get a plaque, which Smug is going to carry away with him. But I decided, since you have 4 co-hosts, you ought to have to hit 400,000. I'm only at 80,000. I'm just me. I don't have a producer. I've got Dwayne. You've got Spaghettis. Don't you think that would be like a fair? That's Dwayne. Don't you think it would be? He's not working. Don't you think it would be fair if I had like you had to do 400 and I'd do 100?
I mean, so I told my co-host when they're like, "Why do you get the plaque?" And I was like, "You think it's tough for you?" I told my wife it's going on the mantle, not our wedding photos. So I think she's the only one who's mad about this deal.
Did you hit it yet?
We're a hair's away from hitting it.
All right,
thanks
today,
to your help, you've been mentioning it to your audience so much. We appreciate it.
Today, if you're listening to Hugh Hewitt Show, first go to Highly Concentrated Hugh or to my YouTube channel. Actually, my new YouTube channel, like and subscribe. But then go over to the Ruthless Podcast, like and subscribe, which you have to do if you wish to opine anyway. Like and subscribe. Get them over the 100,000. Maybe they'll let me look at one of those plaques, which before Smug takes it away. Smug, I want to also ask you about internal dynamics at the show. There's clearly tension between Michael Duncan and Ashbrook over that seat at the White House. So have you separated them on the set?
I mean, it was such an incredible way that came together, where the White House contacted Michael Duncan. He was the contact for, you fill out a form if you're a new media company, and they look over and they select you. And so they contact Duncan, and he's heading to a wedding and a funeral in the same weekend. And so he calls Ashbrook and he's like, you want to fill in. This is a terrific opportunity. We can't let this pass by. So I have to say that was incredibly generous of Michael Duncan, and he deserves all the credit in the world. And at the same time, I think Ashbrook did a great job filling in for Duncan. Big shoes
he did a
fill.
great job. He's from Ohio. It was a given. Yeah. But does Duncan have a Wally Pipp jersey now? Is he going to forever be the guy who got replaced in the White House correspondence chair?
Fingers crossed we get another crack at asking a question in the White House, and I'll be sure it's Michael Duncan who goes.
No, Smug, you got to go next. I like Josh. I like Michael. I love you all. But the sunglasses in the, I mean, it would be a complete own goal on all of the legacy media because they bitch so much about Ashbrook being there. Let's get serious. The president talked to Vladimir Putin today and to Vladimir Zelensky. Secretary Hegseth comes out and he says they're not going to be in NATO. They're not going to get back everything they had in 2014. What did you make of the calls What did you make of the Hegseth Declaration?
I think that this is in line with what President Trump said when he was on the campaign trail. The first thing I feel that needs to be done, I agree with President Trump on this, is the killing and the fighting needs to stop immediately. I think we get to that point, and then we could talk about specifics of what territory goes where. But this has been just a very costly war. So many Ukrainians have died. So many lives have been lost. So many lives have been ruined. It needs to stop immediately. And I think the rest of the world has gotten that message loud and clear. You saw the ceasefire in Gaza. That's now a tenuous situation, but President Trump yet again has stepped in and said there's going to be hell to pay if these folks are not brought home. We've seen an American who was imprisoned in Russia since the start of the Biden administration came home. So I think peace through strength is the guiding principle of President Trump and this administration. And I've got full faith that they're going to get the job done to secure our interests.
You know, you made a memorable visit to the Nixon Library. And I think you will remember, I think young Matt Foldy was with you when you made that memorable visit.
He was.
I was not there. But if you remember, President Nixon's grave has on it, and I'm paraphrasing, the noblest title that can be bestowed on a man is that of peacemaker. And he was very proud of having ended the Vietnam War. I just want to know if you think this will work. And I'm not upset by a ceasefire in place while they negotiate the return of the Kursk salient to Russia and a pullback to something less than what the Russians currently hold in Ukraine. I don't know what that is. Do you think it's going to work?
I think so. And because history has shown us that when President Trump is in office, you see all the bullies and the terrorists across the world go into retreat. You saw them Russia was emboldened seeing the disastrous withdrawal that Joe Biden was presided over in Afghanistan. And that's when he made his move. You never saw anything like that happen under President Trump's first administration. And now you're seeing it again. Very quickly, Putin has gotten the message that, okay, there's a new sheriff in town. This is the guy who I can't mess around with. So I have, again, full faith in President Trump. He's going to be able to stop this war and earn that title that President Nixon made so famous. Peacemaker is the most important title a person can have.
It is. Now I want to switch up on you. The Ontario Super Bowl ad. I'm not sure if you saw it. Did you see it, Smug?
Which Super Bowl ad?
Ontario, Canada did a Super Bowl ad. Did you see it?
Oh, boy. Yeah,
right.
I clearly wasn't paying attention to that one.
All right, I'm going to play it for you. It is cut number 14. This aired in the Super Bowl at something like $8 million. Go ahead, cut 14.
Ontario is your third largest trading partner and the #1 export destination for 17 states. Our long-standing economic partnership keeps millions of Americans working. In a changing world, it's time to bring jobs back home and build together. More workers, more trade, more prosperity, more security. For generations, this ally to the north has been here. And for generations more, we'll still be here, right by your side.
Got to be quick to go to the break, and I'll come back. How do you rank that on a scale of 1 to 10, Smug?
I'd say it's a 1. It's probably an olive branch because they know that President Trump is headed up there and they want to live under the American flag. They know it in their hearts.
I'll tell you the backstory when we come back. Comfortably Smug, one of the fellas, is here for 2 segments today. Don't go anywhere except to the Ruthless Podcast at YouTube. Like and subscribe. Get them over comparisons. Smug, I showed you the Ontario ad. The backstory is a Canadian colleague of mine told me yesterday that the lead that Pierre Poilievre had gone from 30 points to under 10 after, because Canadians are not particularly fond of Donald Trump calling them the 51st state, and that their sense of humor is worn dry here. What do you think of that, and what do you think of the Ontario ad? Should the president let up on our allies to the north?
Well, I think the main idea to get clear here is that we will be greeted as liberators. The Canadian people for generations have lived under a horrible system, a mismanaged system across the board, and they yearn for the freedoms that we enjoy in America. If they want to be a real partner to the North, they'll accept being the 51st state. There could be no better honor for them.
All right, so you're not giving an inch, and you want Donald Trump to keep the rag. Let's turn to the very serious thing. A prediction on Saturday. Donald Trump doesn't give ultimatums very often, but he did to the Hamas terrorists. Said all of them, noon Saturday, 7 o'clock Israeli time, or all hell will break loose. And Israel is staging for that war. What's your crystal ball say, Smug?
The best thing that Hamas could do and that they should have done First off, they should have never launched this attack on innocent civilians. Number two, they should have sent all the hostages home a long time ago. But right now, the most salient point for them to understand is that President Trump does not mess around. When he says there's going to be all hell that breaks loose, there's a lot of folks they could try to talk to about that. The ISIS folks in the cave, that it caved in when President Trump dropped a bomb on them. He could ask Soleimani, but Soleimani's been turned into salsa. So President Trump follows through on promises. Hamas should not try to take his words lightly. He means business.
Do you think he's talking to Khamenei and the Iranian mullahs at the same time? I mean, are you ruling that out?
With this president, I would rule absolutely nothing out. We heard from so many experts. We heard from the mainstream media that, oh my goodness, President Trump took out Soleimani and this could start World War III. There was nothing of the sort. Under President Trump, Iran was effectively bankrupted. Hamas couldn't get any money from them. So President Trump knows what he's doing, dealing with these people for generations. The United States has been sending these, Ivy League delegates over from the State Department like John Kerry. And those people don't know how to talk to the folks in the Middle East who only understand one thing, is that might makes right in their world. And
Exit
President Trump
question,
understands that
comfortably
language very
smart.
clearly.
Exit question. Fetching Mrs. Hewitt and I watched the first hour of Landman last night. Is that your favorite television series ever?
I mean, it's absolutely terrific. I think it's the third or the fourth episode where he has this great breakdown.
Don't, no spoilers. I haven't seen it yet. We just did 1 hour. No spoilers.
Watch them all.
We will. We're going to binge watch over the weekend. Comfortably Smug, one of the fellows on the Ruthless podcast. Head over to the Ruthless YouTube channel, like and subscribe in order to get them to 100,000. And if you wish to opine, get Smug's mantelpiece decorated. Thank you, Smug. Come back soon.
Thank you so much, Hugh.